Hey boxing fans, welcome back. Today we are going deep into one of the most talked about upcoming fights of the year, David Benavidez versus Anthony Yarde. This isn't just another bout on the calendar. It's a collision of styles, a clash of stories, and a battle that could reshape how we see the light heavyweight division. The date is set for November 22, 2025, with the fight taking place in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The setting itself tells you how big this event is. Riyadh has become one of boxing's premier destinations, hosting some of the most historic fights of the past few years. On that night, the spotlight will shine on two men with very different backgrounds, but one shared goal: championship glory. Let's talk first about David Benavidez, known to fans as the Mexican Monster. His nickname says it all. At just 28 years old, Benavidez has built a perfect record of 30 wins, no losses, with 24 coming by knockout. That kind of knockout ratio is no joke. He turned professional as a teenager, and since then he's bulldozed almost everyone put in front of him. He first made his name at super middleweight, where he became a two-time WBC champion. His volume punching, relentless pressure, and ability to mix combinations like a middleweight while hitting like a heavyweight made him one of the scariest fighters in the sport. He was considered one of the biggest threats to Canelo Alvarez, though that fight never materialized. Instead, Benavidez decided to move up to light heavyweight in 2024, looking for bigger challenges. His first real test at 175 pounds came against Alexander Gvozdyk, a former world champion. Benavidez didn't just beat him, he imposed his style, broke him down, and captured the interim WBC light heavyweight belt. After that, he defended against David Morrell in a grueling fight where he showed grit and toughness. Morrell hurt him, tested him, but Benavidez stayed standing, stayed busy, and proved he could handle himself in a division full of punchers. Eventually, when the belt situation cleared up, Benavidez was elevated to full WBC champion. For him, this fight with Yarde is about more than defending a title. It's about legitimacy. Fans want to see if Benavidez can be the face of the division. He knows that questions linger. Can he take the power of true 175-pound punchers? Can he adjust when the other man isn't backing down? Yarde provides the perfect test to answer those questions. Now let's shift to Anthony Yarde, the man standing in his way. Yarde's story is different. Born and raised in London, he didn't have a long amateur career like many champions. He learned on the job, and his style reflects that. Raw power, explosiveness, and athleticism. He's 27-3 as a professional, with 24 knockouts of his own. Like Benavidez, when Yarde wins, it's usually by stoppage. But Yarde's career has been defined not just by his wins, but by his high-profile losses. In 2019, he traveled to Russia to face Sergey Kovalev for the WBO light heavyweight title. For much of that fight, Yarde struggled, but then he found a spark. In the 8th round, he nearly stopped Kovalev, landing massive shots that had the Russian wobbling. But he couldn't finish the job, and Kovalev rallied back to knock him out in the 11th. It was a painful loss, but it showed the world that Yarde could be dangerous at the elite level. Fast forward to 2023, when he faced Artur Beterbiev for 3 world titles. Beterbiev is one of the most feared punchers in the sport, and Yarde didn't shy away. He went right at him. For several rounds, Yarde pushed Beterbiev hard, landing clean, hurting him at times, and showing heart. Eventually, though, the power and experience of Beterbiev wore him down, and Yarde was stopped in the 8th round. Again, a loss, but again, his stock rose because of how he fought. Yarde then went on a rebuilding run, winning fights in the UK, sharpening his skills, and keeping himself in the conversation. By the time 2025 rolled around, he was once again in line for a title shot, this time against Benavidez. For Yarde, this is everything. It's his 3rd attempt at world championship glory. He's been close before, but this might be his last chance in his prime years. That desperation, that hunger, makes him more dangerous. So, what's at stake? For Benavidez, it's validation as the true WBC light heavyweight champion, and a chance to show he belongs alongside the likes of Bivol and Beterbiev. For Yarde, it's redemption, the chance to finally grab the world title that has slipped through his fingers twice before. Now, what are boxing legends and pros saying about this fight? Reactions have been very interesting. Some believe Benavidez is too much. They point to his relentless pressure, his engine, his ability to throw 80 to 100 punches around at a weight class where most fighters slow down. Legends say that style breaks men. They argue Yarde has struggled with stamina before, fading in late rounds against Kovalev and Beterbiev. If he can't keep up with Benavidez's pace, he might drown by the middle rounds. Others, though, see danger for Benavidez. They say Yarde is the hardest puncher he's faced at 175. Yarde's upper body strength, his explosive counters, and his ability to generate power in close quarters could test Benavidez's chin in ways Gvozdyk and Morel didn't. Some pros even argue that if Yarde lands early, before Benavidez finds his rhythm, we could see a shocking upset. One former world champion mentioned that Benavidez's defense is still questionable. He often relies on his chin, walking through shots to land his own. That worked at 168, where his opponents couldn't hurt him consistently. But at 175, where men punch harder, that's risky. Yarde could be the one to capitalize. On the other hand, Yarde's critics point to his lack of discipline in training and his inconsistency. They say Benavidez, unlike Kovalev or Beterbiev, won't give him openings to breathe. He'll come forward non-stop, force Yarde to fight at a pace he doesn't like, and eventually break him. Benavidez himself has said he respects Yarde but expects a war. He's promised fans that this fight will be explosive and a show stealer. He knows Yarde won't run, and that excites him. For a fighter like Benavidez, who thrives in exchanges, this could be a career-defining brawl. Yarde has responded with confidence. He admits he's learned from his losses. He said he's not the same fighter who got stopped by Kovalev, and not the same man who fell short against Beterbiev. He believes those experiences made him sharper, tougher, and smarter, and he insists that when Benavidez comes forward, he'll meet him head-on. From a stylistic perspective, this fight screams fireworks. Benavidez is a volume puncher who wears his opponents down. Yarde is a power puncher who looks to land fight-ending shots. When those styles clash, you don't get a chess match, you get a war. Many legends predict this fight won't go the distance. The question is, whose power and pressure will break first? Some insiders predict a mid-round stoppage for Benavidez, overwhelming Yarde with volume. Others lean toward an early knockout for Yarde, banking on him catching Benavidez cold before the Mexican monster can impose his will. What makes this fight so fascinating is the uncertainty. Both men have clear paths to victory. Benavidez needs to drag Yarde into deep waters, drown him in activity, and test his stamina. Yarde needs to keep it explosive early, land big counters, and make Benavidez think twice about walking through fire. For fans, it's the perfect recipe. Two knockout artists, two men with something to prove, meeting in the middle of the ring. So mark your calendars, November 22nd, 2025. Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. David Benavidez versus Anthony Yarde. Expect drama, expect fireworks, and expect the kind of fight that has the boxing world buzzing before and after the final bell. Because no matter who wins, this fight will tell us a lot about the future of the light heavyweight division.